What is going on, YouTube people? Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. I thought maybe we were done talking about card cleaning for a hot minute. I watched part of the Kurtz interview on Jeremy Lee. I said, they covered most of this stuff. I don't feel like I need to make a reaction video to this or that nonsense. They talked about a bunch of stuff. I don't need to wait at anything here. It's nothing really new said. It was all, just kind of rehash of other stuff. Good information. 100% would recommend checking it out. I said, okay, cool. We're good. Whew. Thank God. Dodged a bullet on that card cleaning nonsense. But wait. Give it another day. Or two, I guess. And Kurtz Card Care versus PSA in the ultimate game of F around and find out. PSA has laid the smacketh down upon a Kurtz Card Care submission. If you haven't been following along, Tiffany Cards brought this to the forefront on Thursday morning. On screen here from 6 weeks ago. I'll mute the audio, but we'll kind of play this while we're chatting. Kurt gives a Jackie Robinson a little bubble bath. Little soaky soak to get off some tape stains. You can see it right there at the top of the card, right where he's Kurt. I could not have timed that better. And then on the right hand side, there is one as well by his thumb there. So he gives a little soaky soak to get that stain off. Sends it into PSA. It gets a PSA 2.5. Over here, this is Tiffany's card post from 5 days ago, where he is showing the copy of the raw version of the card from the video and matching it up with this 2.5 that was just graded. His little identifier marks on here with a little disclaimer that, this is not like the ultimate scientific method, but he is pretty sure that these two cards are identical, and this was the card that was soaked, and you could see the boxes where the stain was removed. Tags a bunch of people in it. Nat Turner, PSA card, AIH, Dan the Card Man, all tagged up in it. And lo and behold, this morning I wake up, I got DMs from people. That usually means some nonsense is going down. Always appreciate it. Tiffany Cards posts again. Notice this cert number right here. Ends in 275. 888-79275. 888-79275 has been deactivated, along with a bunch of other cards in this same submission. You usually check that. You can go numbers higher or lower, back and forth, and kind of get a feel for the submission. Apparently, there was other cards deactivated as well. And this was just deactivated yesterday on the 17th. Once again, this is the ultimate game of F around and find out. And we have found out. PSA has made an example here. Now, the tricky part is they didn't catch this when they graded it. The reason that this got deactivated is because it is as blatant gets what happens to this card. It is on video of him soaking it in the Kurtz Card Care spray. I get it. You could see what he did on the video, 100%. Boom, there it is. Deactivate the cert if that's how you feel about it, or that violates your terms and services, which it does. We've covered this in previous videos. PSA has come out and said what their stance is on card cleaning. This clearly violates that. So they came down with the ban hammer on this one. The trick is they can't actually detect it while they're there. Clearly, this card was obviously soaked in the juice. This card was graded. Clear as day, they cannot detect it. This isn't news at 11. We've known this for a while. That's really the root cause of all this shenanigans is that they can't detect this stuff because there's nothing there left to detect. The curious question that I have is, obviously we know why they brought the ban hammer down on this one. Why they let the Victor slide? Was it because it wasn't on video what actually happened? The Victor 101, the guy said right standing in the PSA office, shout out to Kurt's Card Care. I guess that's the part of this that I'm a little side-eyeing, is since you can't actually detect it, you don't have anything to fall back on. On this one, you have the video to fall back on. But what about the admission of the Wemby? Yeah, you double-checked that you couldn't find anything, but you knew that was going to be the case anyways. You didn't find anything on this one other than video evidence. That's where things get a little tricky for me on this stuff. If you can't actually detect it, where do we draw the line on when we start deactivating certs? Is it only when it's on video? I guess that's the case. That's the litmus test that they used here. The Victor wasn't on video, just the admission was on video. They didn't actually admit what they did. They just gave Kurt a shout out of nowhere. And that's why when all this stuff came out about a month or so ago, whenever we had this conversation, once again, it's the hobby is like clockwork. Some sort of breaker drama, repack nonsense, card cleaning, loaded boxes, expensive wax, and like spin the dial. Maybe there's a mystery one, but it's basically those 6 topics over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But ultimately, this is why last time we discussed this, I kind of wish a grading company would sack up and just say, you know what? We're allowing X, Y, or Z thing flies. These things you were okay to do. We accept them as standard practice in the modern hobby. These things we do not condone. PSA kind of did that, but once again, the problem is that as of right now, as we sit here today, they can't catch it. That's a big problem. Once again, if you watch the channel for a long time, you know what I'm going to say. I'm used to the world of comic books where things are more allowable. I don't want to say loosey-goosey because they have very strict rules in place on what is considered true restoration versus cleaning and pressing. There are some things that flirt that gray area, but for the most part, people know what they can and cannot use on stuff before it crosses a certain line. Now, anytime money's involved, people are going to flirt with how close they can get to that line and even step way over that line if they can't get caught. But at least it's clear cut and everyone's playing on the same field. The problem right now is the playing field is not equal. The grading companies have come out basically and said, nah, none of this stuff flies. So if you're following the letter of the law, you are at an active disadvantage to everybody else because a lot of other people are using this stuff because they know the grading companies can't catch it. Now, is that right, wrong, or indifferent? I don't know. I am not the judge, jury, and executioner of, what's right and wrong in the hobby. I was hoping this last time around with this topic coming up with the Wemby that maybe it would actually bring some legitimate discussion and movement forward on, hey, let's actually really take a look at this stuff and see what is legitimate and can be used and will not harm the card. Run some tests. I'm sure there are plenty of smart people in the world that if you paid them enough money, they could figure this nonsense out on if something is truly going to have long-lasting implications on certain types of cards. My gut tells me in most cases, most of the stuff that's getting done is not going to have a long-lasting impact. That's just a gut feel. I have no science to back that up on. Roast me in the comments if you want. I base that off the fact that people have been doing stuff to cards forever. And the amount of stuff that pops back up, yes. Have stains reoccurred? Yes. We've seen recent videos about that, recent content focused around that. That is a small handful of stuff. Trimming, bad, clear cut. Color touch, bad, clear cut. Wiping down a card, maybe using a little bit of something to help get some gunk off the surface of a chrome card. I am pretty okay with that. The Jackie with the soaking, that one we're starting to get into the gray area. I can see both sides of the fence on this one. I 100% can. I can see both sides of it. Is it too far? Is it not too far? That's for each individual person to decide. Once again, I'm used to people literally taking comic books and steam cleaning them before they press them in a 400-degree heat press to press the wrinkles out. People taking erasers to covers to remove scuffs and dry clean a comic book. People using UV lights now. There's UV light tech floating around. There are one of the controversial things in comic books recently, and I'm no cleaning expert in the comic book space. I understand that at a high level. There are some people using some chemicals that are starting to push the boundaries. The people are like, I don't know. Now we're getting into some stuff that might be going a little bit too far. They work really well, but people are having the same conversations over there that they're having now about this stuff. Basically, the net result of all this is don't do your cleaning on camera. Do it in the privacy of your own home. Don't do it in front of a camera lens if you're going to do it. And don't let people figure out the card that you're sending in. Because it seems like if PSA has overwhelming evidence, which it's breaking their terms of service, justifiably so, it is their prerogative to deactivate those certification numbers based off the rules that they have laid out for us all to play by. Fair game. Fair game. It just gets a little scary to me when you can't actually detect the stuff. Where do you draw that line on the burden of proof? Obviously, this was a clear-cut case. On the flip side, clearly the Wemby was not. Or maybe they've changed their stance since then. After some internal discussions. I don't know. Curious for your thoughts and comments, as always, down below. I guarantee you, this will not be the last time we talk about card cleaning. Hopefully, it's months from now and not days or weeks from now. I just feel like we're all talking in circles on this topic. There is the camp of people that are never going to be for this. Ever. There is no argument, no nothing you could do to change those people's mind. That is their prerogative. There is the camp of people that are, hey man, I'm just trying to make my cards look better. As long as it doesn't hurt the card, I'm cool. Will it hurt the card in 20 years? I don't know. There's that camp of people, which probably is a little bit more majority over the old school hardliners. If you're just comparing those two groups, I think where most people fall is somewhere in the middle. I think if you ran down the list of common modern cleaning techniques, there'd be a large portion of things on that list that most people would be like, yeah, I'd do that, no problem. And then eventually you hit a point where it's like, we might be going a little too far on this one. And that line is going to be at a different spot for everybody. But I think a lot of people fall more into that middle ground than either one of the extremes. And based off of polling data that I've done, based off of how much of this stuff I see going on, I think a large bulk of the modern collector, investor, flipper fall into that middle category where some things they are perfectly fine with, and then it gets to a point where it's gone a little too far. And then you have the two extremes where it's, I'm never doing anything at all. Maybe I'm just wiping off a fingerprint with a dry microfiber, to I am sending this thing through the car wash and it's coming out like a brand new baby at the other end. That's all I got. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.